Hello ladies, it's Menopause Barbie here. Welcome back. We're continuing with our tutorials on menopause, your management, your way, now and for the rest of your life. This is tutorial number 4. If you haven't tuned in previously and seen 1 through 3, you should, because it sets the stage for where we're going. I told you I would always give you information on where we are in the book and where we are in the handout. In the book, we're covering pages 37 through 40 today, just 3 pages. And in the handout, we're covering page 1, just 1 page. Easy, easy. And again, I'm going to start with a quiz question. The quiz question is for you to see. And remember, there are multiple, it's like a multiple choice. Some of them can be used in combination. So there's the question. Menopause. A, is important because we will spend a major portion of our lives as menopausal women. B, is permanent once we encounter it. C, is the longest phase of the female life cycle for many women. D, is only a 2-year transition from middle age to old age. E, is a silent change that only the woman going through it experiences and notices. F is A, B, and C above. G is D and E above. And H is B and E above. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer now. The right answer is F. It's the first 3 options. We spend a major portion of our life. It is permanent, and it is the longest phase of the female life cycle for many women. If you look at the phases of the female life cycle, what you'll find is that childhood encompasses about 11 years, and then comes puberty. Now, puberty only lasts about 2 years, and it may start earlier or later for each person as an individual, but it only lasts about 2 years. It's a transition from childhood to adolescence. And then adolescence itself is about 5 years. From about age 13 to about age 18, that's considered adolescence. Then you get to adulthood. And adulthood, whether it starts at 18 or 21, lasts until you start menopause. And once you start menopause, that's where you remain for the rest of your life. So you see, even if your adulthood is 30 years, as long as you have a long normal lifespan, these years our lifespan is quite long, as long as you have a normal lifespan and don't die prematurely, you can spend 50 or more years as a menopausal woman. So for many women, menopause is the longest phase of their lives. Now you see, this is important because birth rates are decreasing, but longevity rates are increasing. Think about it. Historically, people had huge families because survival depended on family size. Back in the days when people lived on farms and had to take care of producing their own food, having a large family could mean the difference between survival and death. And so large families are a thing of the past. Nowadays, we don't see such large families. I told you that my husband and I moved to a different country every year, and a few years ago, we lived in Barcelona, Spain, for a year. And when you live in a place for a year, you learn about things and hear about things in a different way than you would if you were just a tourist. And one of the things that was really obvious while we were living there is that women my age came from families in which their mothers had 10, 12 kids. And it was because Franco, the ruler of Spain, ruled between 1934 or so and 1975. So their mothers were reproductive women in the age of Franco, and they could not use birth control. He was very, very strict and had all these very, very strict Catholic ways of doing things, and birth control was completely against the law. So the women my age all came from these huge families, but they themselves were only having 1 or 2 kids because, of course, they had the advantage of birth control, and they were choosing to have families that had few children. And so the trend now is that people have fewer children, but they're all living longer and longer and longer and longer. So when you think about these things, you start realizing that menopause is much more important than it ever was before. So as our life expectancy increases, we will spend more and more and more of our lives as menopausal women. And not only that, the life expectancy increases every single year. So currently, the life expectancy for white women is on the order of about 80.5, 80.7 years. And the life expectancy for black women is about 76.1 years. But those are averages. In general, it is not uncommon at all to find people who are in their hundreds. Centurions, they're everywhere. So there will be more and more people living beyond the age of 100 as we become more and more able to extend our lives. So when you start thinking of how many people there are in these older age ranges, you start realizing that menopause is a population explosion. The population of females over 50 is one of the fastest growing groups of people on the planet. In the year 2000, in the United States alone, there were 42 million women over the age of 50. That was about 1 in every 3 women. And in the US alone, about 2 million women reach the age of 50 every single year. Now, if you take those numbers and you apply them in a worldwide sense, the number of postmenopausal women was 569 million in the year 2000. And by 2020, there will be 967 million. Look at the year 2030, and there'll be 1.2 billion. Now, those numbers are only accounting for the women who become menopausal by age alone. Think about all the women who become menopausal in other means. There are women who become menopausal because of surgery or because of medication or for some other reason. So when you start looking at the numbers of menopausal women, you realize we have a huge segment of the population. See, I think that's really great. I think it's wonderful that we constitute a huge segment of society. Think of all the power we have in numbers. We are a very powerful and formidable group, and we should start seeing ourselves as that, in that light. We've done ourselves an injustice by feeling like, oh yeah, well, we're just women who are getting older and that's it. No, we are powerful, and together we are really something to behold. I will always tell you to focus on yourself, but I think you also have to realize how powerful we are as a group. So here we have these huge numbers of menopausal women, and we have all this time that we're going to be spending as menopausal women, and yet comfort with menopause, and education about menopause, and preparation about menopause, and even talking about menopause are lacking. Why? We shouldn't be treating menopause as if it's some kind of taboo topic. We need to start having the attitude that everyone needs to know about menopause, and by golly, they need to understand it and respect it and be prepared for the fact that we are going to be running the world. I don't want you to be one of the women who's unprepared and who doesn't embrace your menopause and use it in a way that benefits you and benefits society. So what about the information sources that are available for menopause? Well, there's a bunch of information on menopause. It's not like menopause is some new phenomenon. There's tons of information out there. The problem with the information is that it is biased. You have information sources that promote the use of hormones. You have other information sources that reject the use of hormones. You have information sources that support herbal remedies, and then you have others that advocate diet and lifestyle measures. Now, in addition to that, you have to look at the credentials of the people who author these resources. There are many, many books that are simply testimonials by women who went through menopause themselves, and they tell you about their experience. That's all fine and good. But it's not an education. And then there are people who really have no background or education in menopause at all who are writing books, celebrities. That's fine, but it's not an education. And in addition to that, you have people who have a self-interest for some reason or another in menopause simply because they have some product that they want to promote and try to coerce you to use their product. Regardless of how you look at it, most information resources for menopause are biased. And when something's biased, what it's doing is treating everybody like they're the same. Well, my biggest message to you is that you are unique. And the truth is, no one's opinion matters but yours when it comes to how you manage your menopause. If you are a woman who already has all the education that you need, and if you already know exactly how you want to manage your menopause, then any of these resources that are biased and very specific for one way of managing menopause is great. You can use it as a guide, it will serve you well. But if you are among the millions and millions of women who don't know where to begin, none of those resources will help you. Think about it. When you're trying to decide what you want to do for your menopause, the first thing you have to do is gain as much knowledge as you can about all the information and all the options. You first have to understand the science behind it. You have to understand the basics. Then you have to start navigating through all the options for management. Now, all that takes time. The seminars I give on this material are 12 hours long. That's a lot of time. These videos, tutorials that I'm giving you will take time. So just getting the information you need to begin the decision-making process takes a lot of time. If once you've gotten all the information you decide you don't want to manage your menopause at all, you just want to let Mother Nature run the show and you don't want to interfere at all, that's fine. But you're making that decision as an informed, educated adult. If you do decide you want to manage your menopause, you will know what to think about and which options you have, and you'll be able to navigate through that much more easily. But what you don't want to do is rely on the media or rely on testimonials or rely on any kind of advertising. You can't even rely on your own mother because, your mother did not get much information on menopause. She did not get any choices. She had a caretaker who probably never mentioned it. She may not have even known she went through menopause. And if she did get anything at all, she got someone handing her something saying, take this, and she probably didn't know why she was taking it. She certainly had no choice in the matter, right? You can't rely on your friends and colleagues because, as we talked about in the last video, they have the same misconceptions that you have. So while they may want to compare notes with you, all you're doing is misguiding each other. And unfortunately, you can't even rely on most medical professionals. Not only does a medical professional not have enough time in the office setting, think about it. If I'm going to spend this much time educating you, do you think your medical professional can do the same? No, that is not what they're there for. You're coming to me to get the education, then you can work with them to manage your menopause any way you want. They'll help you get what you're looking for. Unfortunately, a lot of medical professionals have very limited knowledge. And of course, they have their own biases. You have the naturopathic medical professionals, you have the, allopathic MDs like me, medical professionals. And when you start having these different camps, it's very hard to get a level playing field in terms of options. And unfortunately, it isn't uncommon at all for medical professionals to substitute their judgment for yours. I won't be doing that. I want to make sure that your judgment rules the day. Okay, so for your menopause, don't settle for anything but an adequate education and information tailored to your needs and desires. Do not accept any biases, and make sure you have the opportunity to manage your menopause your way. See, that's empowerment. That's an individual sense of empowerment. So when you take that individual sense of empowerment and you multiply it exponentially by the huge numbers of menopausal women, we become powerful as a group. So please start thinking of this as the most wonderful opportunity to really exercise your sense of importance individually and with all the rest of us. Now, you know, I'm going to be bringing these videos to you live. They're going to be real life and authentic. They're going to be genuine. I am not going to video in the same place all the time. I'm going to change the setting. I'm going to take you on some field trips. Sometimes I'm going to be in a place where you hear some background noise. Sometimes you're going to see things in the background that either entertain you or have something to do with the message I'm going to impart. So just know that my goal with these videos is to make them real for you. And another thing, I might be a little outrageous. My goal is to teach you. And if I do something that's outrageous or something that even makes me look goofy, that's fine with me, because my goal is to make sure you understand and remember the material. And sometimes having a chuckle or laugh at my expense makes the difference. So don't be surprised if I do some things that are a little bit different. It's for your benefit and for your learning potential. I hope you enjoy it. Let's have a fun time together. And I'm happy to be your entertainment as well as your educator. Nothing bothers me. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I urge you to subscribe and tune in every time we have a video. Come back and enjoy the ride, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye!